What's going on, everyone? I think we are finally live. We are back at it. And if you are watching tonight's channel or in the live stream tonight, you might be wondering, why are we back at it again with a second barrel pick of Sagamore? Super quick. So, fun story. A few months ago, we did a collaboration pick. So this is a collaboration pick for myself, Josh and Aaron from Stuff and Whiskey, and then also Jay from Share Pour. We picked an amazing barrel that everyone, I think at least everyone on the tasting team, all loved. However, we know shipping and logistics are not always perfect. So unfortunately, our barrel ended up with Costco. So we lost that barrel, but hey, we're back at it today. We're going to pick another fantastic barrel for our respective groups. So who do we have on? So we have on our patrons, Kim and Mark from Stuff and Whiskey, and then also our good friend Nick Massey from the Bourbon Judge community. Jay West, unfortunately, from Share Pour, had a last-minute conflict, so Jay's unable to join us tonight. But we have, I still think, the coolest couple in the whiskey tube world, flat out, our good friends Josh and Aaron. So let's go ahead and bring everyone on.
Cheers, everybody. Good to be here tonight.
Cheers, everyone. What's going on, guys?
It's a good night. It's a good night for some good whiskey and good friends.
Indeed, indeed. I hear we're gonna keep this barrel too. We're not gonna lose this barrel, right, Josh?
Well, we're gonna try.
Fingers crossed.
What's funny is that we named the last pick that we did. We named it Manhattan Vibes, and it ended up, again, as Judge said, getting sent to Costco in DC. And, you're in Costco, you're looking around, you see a Sagamore barrel pick, and it says Manhattan Vibes. People are probably going to buy it. So, yeah, by the time we found out what had happened, they're like, yeah, it's pretty much gone.
Indeed. Absolutely. Yeah, that does stink. It does. Yeah, sometimes that happens in the whiskey world, right? It does happen, unfortunately. But, hey, we have some great whiskey in front of us. So that's awesome. So, all right, are we all ready to dive into this? We have a ton of whiskey here.
Yeah, I believe so. So just to kind of give everybody a rundown, I don't know if we even did this on the last one, but Sagamore, their rye picks are very interesting because it's a blend of a high rye and a low rye. So they're both ryes, but one has a little bit more corn content in the mash. And I would assume, I can't say this for sure, but I would assume that by the time this gets bottled, it's either going to be like 1 month shy of 8 years or potentially like 1 month over 8 years, depending on what we pick. But they're all right there around that 8-year mark.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, great point, Josh. Great point.
And to be fair, the low rye that's in the blend is already 8.5 years old in and of itself. But the high rye that's in the blend is floating right around that 8-year mark.
Yep. So true. I love that. That's a great point, Josh. And what I also love about Sagamore, their barrel select program is that they always cap it at 110 proof, which I think is actually a sweet spot for bourbon or rye, in my opinion. It's like it's a great pour, no matter if you're any time of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah,
100%.
That's for sure.
All right. So I think we all agree that we're going to go in barrel order number. So we're going to start with 0116.
Yeah.
All right. This should be fun. Looking forward to some good Sagamore 2.0. All right.
Yeah, the hope here is that when a distributor, has a little fumble with your barrel, that, there's a little bit of let's get the good stuff out. Let's bring the heat even more. So let's see how they did.
Indeed. Hey, before we jump into this, so I have to understand. I saw this comment earlier. Someone said Josh or Aaron should do the Dak Prescott. Here we go. What is that?
I don't even know.
I don't know what that is.
What is that?
Where'd it go? I saw it.
I'm not. We're in postseason time. I don't think I want to be associated with any Cowboys things during the postseason. Regular season, here we go. But postseason, the only place the Cowboys seem to go in the postseason is home after round one. No offense, Cowboys fans. I don't have any, I don't feel one way or another about the Cowboys, but
okay.
Just speaking to the track record.
All right, good to know. I wasn't sure. I saw that. I was like, hey, maybe Josh is like the biggest Cowboys fan out there. I had no clue, but I'm always happy to learn something new. So that's too funny. I love that.
Ooh,
That
this is.
awesome. All right.
Do you guys
So
have anything like right off the bat jumping out to you about 0116?
Let's get to this one real quick.
Like
smells kind of sweet.
Yeah, like sweet and
That is nice.
like the way the mint comes across. So you're drinking rye. You don't always expect to get mint because some ryes aren't minty at all. But the way the mint comes across in this is really unique and really interesting. I haven't drank it yet, but
yeah,
just on the nose, it's got like this really cool sensation to it.
It does. It does. You're right. That is nice though.
So I get a little bit of that minty on the palate as well, but it also makes me think of a pillow.
Oh, like it's fluffy?
Yeah.
Or it tastes like polyfill?
No, it's the mouth feel, and it's like soft, but not soft in flavor. It just feels soft like a pillow to me.
Squishy.
I hear you. It is.
Oh,
You're right.
wow. You're right. It's like it's pillowy. It envelops the mouth, but not in a heavy-handed way.
Yeah.
It just like it's up on the roof and the side. It just swells up and takes everything over.
Yeah. I love the corn in their mash bill. It definitely offsets it. I think it's something that it makes their whiskey, their rye whiskey, palatable for no matter if you're a huge rye fan or if you're a bourbon fan kind of crossing over into rye. That's what makes Sagamore so interesting as a whole.
That might be, and who knows what we're in for with these other three samples, but that might be the most interesting Sagamore single barrel I've ever tasted.
Yeah. This is completely different than the one we picked too, right? The Manhattan vibes, completely different. Night and day. Wow. Mark, what do you think about this one, Mark?
No, it is good. Sagamore single barrel pick. Sometimes I get a little bit of a perfuminess on it, but that's actually pretty common with the single barrels. But yeah, no, when Kim said that, yeah, you're right. It is like a soft. It wasn't too heavy. Very good. It is very interesting. It doesn't taste like any of the other ones I've had. I mean, it's good. It's really good.
It is. It's really nice. Wow. This is different. I would agree with you, Josh. This is unlike any other Sagamore barrel pick that I've ever had, and drink a lot of their whiskey. This is completely unique.
What do you think about this one? The first one?
Well, I've tasted them all and I have my favorite, and it is not this first one.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Just going to ask you, Erin. I knew she'd taste them. That's her MO. I love that, by the way. That's so cool.
She does not. She's a very comparative taster, and she's usually right. I'll ask you guys: is anybody else like you get that initial hit of like a little bit of the minty tingle, but it's not like a strong mint flavor. It's more like the minty tingle and a sensation of a cooling sensation, the pillowy swell up in your mouth kind of envelopment. And then it's almost like that swells up. And then as it starts to dry down, I just start getting this saturated cherry note all over the back of my palate and tongue. It's still light. It's still light, but it is a very pronounced and saturated cherry note. And I'm very split on cherry notes. If they go medicinal, I don't like that. But this is just really nice.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the cherry note. And I also get, in addition to the cherry, almost like a honey note as well, right? Kind of to Kim's point about it being very soft and sweet. I also get like a honey note on this one too. Mr. Massey, what about you? What are you thinking of this first one? Numero uno, literally.
It seems it's viscous. I mean, it's kind of oily, but it almost has like a creaminess to it. So I can get where like she's talking about like that pillowy, like fluff, but it's kind of almost like creamy, and it's not like a nougat type of creamy or like it's like teetering between that, since it has some of that corn and stuff, and you're not really hitting a lot of that like mint, but it's almost just it's like a touch of caramel, almost like sprinkled in a little bit of like nougat, and it's like melted down a little bit.
That's cool. I hear you
I will
completely.
say, after tasting through some of these other ones, this one seems very sharp. Like, not sharp like sour, sharp like I'm coming at you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
On like the first initial, like when you first take a drink.
Mm-hmm. And I've gone backwards now, and it still seems kind of sharp.
I hear you. That's good. Have Jeep said, Aaron never waits for others. Aaron is just very proactive. She's a smart woman. She's very proactive. I like that.
If I have found that if I wait too long in between sips, between pours, I will forget what they tasted like. And so I need to kind of do them pretty quickly in succession, then go backwards, and then I can take some time. Like, I pretty quickly pick my top two, and then I'll spend time deliberating between my top two. That's kind of where I spend more of my time.
I like that. That's a great point.
Yep.
Smart.
And a testament to the fact that everybody has their own individual process. If I go too fast, the lines start getting really blurry. You know, I don't know what's what, but Aaron has the ability to discern and decipher uniqueness between pours just by rifling through them, and it's how she does comparative tasting the best. So
That's awesome.
yeah, very, very interesting.
So I always feel like I'm breaking the rules, so I do it real quiet so no one sees me.
7 Aaron. I love it.
She's like that kid in class. It's like, please don't let the teacher call on me.
I love it. All right. Are we ready to move on to the next one, or what do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I just smelled the next one, and it's smelling rich.
Okay.
Oh, that doesn't even smell like rye after the first one. That smells like a high rye bourbon.
It doesn't taste like rye.
It does. Yeah, you're right. Hold on. Let me see the front of these real quick, just to see.
So this is 21-16.
21-16. Yep. Okay. Boy. Interesting. All right. Yeah, it doesn't smell like a rye at all.
Can I have your notepad?
Ooh, that's nice on the nose. Wow.
Man, that's got a ton of caramel brown sugar on it.
Big time. Oh,
Made me think of like the inside of a Score candy bar, like that toffee, sugary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And if now that I'm taking more time with it and digging layers in the nose, like layers deep, I'm starting to get a little bit of that kind of cooling sensation of the mint that I got in the first glass.
It's kind of hidden.
It's underneath all the other things, and it provides a little bit of a nice brightness to the darker profile that you're getting to let you know that it is a rye, at least, kind of, barely.
Yep, totally agree.
It would trick me in a blind, though. For sure, it would trick me in a blind.
It would. I completely agree. Nick, what are you getting on this one from a nose standpoint?
Sorry, I'm trying to warm it up a little bit. I'm outside, so I'm trying to like get it to kind of room temperature almost.
I hear that. No.
But I see what he's saying, though.
That's a good pro tip. Warming your glass up if you're having trouble getting the nose. I do. I oftentimes, even inside, will hold my glass in my palm so that I'll get some heat into it.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Which isn't that like the opposite of what you're supposed to do with wine? You're supposed to hold the wine down by the stem so your body heat doesn't break it.
Yeah.
Depends.
I don't know. That's just what I've heard. I don't know wine very much. I just drink it.
Mark, what do you get on the nose in this one, Mark?
This is very good. I think I like this one better than the first one. Nose is dark, rich, like like maybe toffee.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it is very good. It's a little bit deeper, and like Josh said, it would probably trick somebody into thinking it's just a high rye bourbon.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm completely with you. For me, I get a ton of oak in this one, right? And the funny part is, because Josh called out earlier, they're not too far different from an age standpoint, but this one, the barrel definitely penetrated the whiskey big time. This is very oak forward, which I like a lot, especially in a rye.
And it's like a sweet oak, kind of a neutral to sweet oak, and there's a molasses note in here too. This would really trip me up in a blind.
You
I
would think
agree.
it was a bourbon.
I would 100% think this is a bourbon. That is wild.
Easily. I agree with you.
I can't recall ever getting molasses on almost any rye.
Oh man, you're right. There's no way. I think in a blind, there's no way I would call this out as a rye. No way at all. That's nice. That's really nice. That's different. Wow. Okay.
The first two are already incredibly different from the other four that we tasted on our first pick.
Yeah.
And they're incredibly different from any Sagamore pick I've ever personally had. I haven't had a ton of Sagamore picks, but I have had, I think, some of the most revered picks in the community. You know, like we all know all the channels out there. And, you know, when you get a Sagamore pick that comes out from a palate you trust, you tend to want to jump on it. And there have been some really good Sagamore picks out there in the community.
So true.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we pick here.
Yep. Agreed. Oh, this is nice. This is hard to kind of move on, to be honest with you. I really like this a lot. Now I'm starting to see why the last one was not in Aaron's top 2. I think I know why so far.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. If the other two are anything like the second glass.
Yeah.
I will say that this glass is in my top 2.
Okay.
I will say that much.
I see Justin in the chat. He says, I think I learned my tasting protocol from Aaron. Speed dating doesn't take us long to find a winner, right, Aaron? Hey,
I mean,
when you know,
it
right?
took me 37 years to find you.
Right, but once we started going out.
Yeah. Once we went out,
Yeah.
we knew pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I love that. That is awesome.
As Common said, it doesn't take a whole day to recognize the sunshine.
Oh.
That's
Josh
very
is
nice.
over there preparing for Valentine's Day. I love it, Josh. I love it. That is awesome. All right. I think so. This is definitely this is a good one. That was a good one. It's really nice. Really nice.
Is anybody curious? I mean, we'll go back through after we go through this way, but does anybody prefer the first glass over that second glass?
Good question.
No.
Okay. Interesting.
Ken's
Just
like,
to
no
let
way.
just to let the chat know where we're at.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I like that. Kim was like, not happening today. Nick, has glass 2 changed at all? I mean, I know you're outside a little bit, so that the
I'm
elements
gonna give you
might
the
change a little
outside
bit.
perspective. Well,
Yeah.
that's why I had to take another little kind of sip, because like at the very, very end on the back end of the palate, it almost kind of tasted like after you've like roasted a marshmallow, like, and you've like just charred it.
Yeah.
Just after you swallow it, it's just got that almost like a burnt mallow, like on the back end of it.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's part of the oak and like the wood that you were talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, really good.
I think that's what I'm reading as molasses and like the wood molasses interaction. I think we're on the same page on that one, Nick. Good call out.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a really good call out.
That might just be because I'm outside and I'm thinking about a bonfire and roasting or something. Who knows?
But a lot of people do drink whiskey outside, so it's good to know.
It's
yeah,
true.
this is the spot right here for me, at least.
Yeah. I hear you. I completely hear you. All right. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm ready for, was it 41?
I'm ready for it. The
41,
nose,
16?
the nose on this is real nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
The nose on this is kind of crazy.
Really? Oh, gosh.
Like I'm getting tons of fruit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the bright notes and the dark notes at the same time.
It does.
Oh my goodness.
And it's kind of like, sometimes whiskey does this weird thing. Sometimes certain whiskeys do this weird thing where they can present as this one singular thing, but it's because everything is so cohesive. And then once you start unpacking everything that's going on, you're like, oh, wow, there's this in there and that in there. And that's kind of what this is doing. Like when I first smelled it, I was like, this just smells like a whole lot of good. And then I'm like, well, what kind of good? And then as I started digging through it, I'm like, man, there's fruity notes. There's caramelly dark notes. It smells amazing.
I think that's where you and I differ is I just stop at the, oh, this smells good part. I don't need to know anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm fine. If it smells good, I'm going for it.
Oh, man, this smells really good, though. And you're right. It has a ton of, like, a variety of different fruits. I mean, you have lighter ones like apples and pears. You have some darker ones like some plums, some blackberries.
blackberries and blueberries and raisins.
Blueberries. Oh gosh, that's nice. That is really nice. Jeez.
I hope the palate lives up.
Me too. Oh
I
boy.
will say for me, the third glass
Mhm.
drinks higher proof than it probably is.
Okay.
In a good way. In a good way. Like I
In a
feel
good way.
like you feel like you're drinking a higher proof bourbon than or
Yeah.
rye.
It
Excuse me,
hits the
than
back of your
10.
throat.
Is that the spice on the finish?
I think it's the spice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you like that when you're like, ooh, I want a lower proof bourbon that drinks higher proof, I feel like that's a good
Yeah.
like it tricks
Oh,
you
yeah.
in a good way. Like
Mhm.
you'll be happy about it. Not
Mhm.
mad.
Wow. That's a fruit explosion at the back of the palate too. It does. That's a big fruit explosion. Even bigger than the nose. Oh my. And you're right, Aaron. It's very
It makes my lips
powerful.
mm-hmm.
It does. Yeah. Good point. Kim, what do you think about this one, Kim?
I like it. Mark just said to me he gets a little bit of perfuminess at the end,
More so on.
and I can see
one
that.
than the
Yeah.
tongue one.
Some perfume. I got you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it is very good though. I do like the fruitiness on this is crazy.
It makes me think of being a child and my mom giving me fruit cocktail that I didn't get very often.
Nice.
Having a little trip down nostalgia lane.
Yeah.
I love that.
Don't let that
Bringing it
sway your
back.
voting. But you can absolutely let it sway your voting if you want to.
I love that.
I will say that I do think that the second glass, while more all dark and rich compared to this has more spice. The second glass had more of that saturation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of that's the one thing I'm missing is that the saturation, but this one does have the more spice. So it's going to be interesting to compare these two if they end up being our top two to see, you know, does the spice drive the finish better or does that saturation kind of linger longer?
Yep. Agreed. I totally agree.
After coming back to it, the third one is almost like extremely like ripened fruit. Like she said, even like the cocktail, but like not like the fruit cocktail. It would just be like the juice. Just if you just let it like sit out and warm up for a little while. Yeah.
That was the best part of the fruit cocktail was drinking the juice after you were done with the fruit. Yeah.
So if you would have let it sit out for a few more months, we could have had this as a kid. So, right?
Sure. Yeah, let's go with that.
That's literally what it is. It is so fruit syrup sweet.
But it's not sugary sweet because it's got that rye to like kind of temper it. Because I'm really sensitive to things that are like too sweet in my palate, like in my preference. And that's not that. It's not too sweet.
No, it's not at all. And it's to your point, Aaron, you're right about that. And I would also agree. It's definitely, I think, the most powerful from a palate standpoint compared to the first two, big time. Way more robust in the palate. Wow, that does sip like maybe 115, 120. That's pretty hot. Actually, almost borderline hot for 110 proof rye whiskey.
There were some mentions of speed dating and finding the one and everything. We got some people in the chat who have been married for some decades. So shout out to all you guys. Yeah. We got a 29 years with JG. Mark's been 15. Yeah, Mr. Mom, 22.
29. Wow.
Shout out to all you guys.
Yeah.
Love it.
Get together. Awesome. It's a wonderful thing. Awesome. It's a wonderful thing when you find a wonderful person.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Speaking of that, how often do you guys on both sides, Kim and Mark and then Josh and Aaron, how often do you guys, like when you're sipping whiskey on a given night, you know, no matter what the bottle is, do you guys typically align like, you know what, I really like this, or are you guys typically completely like opposite in terms of your likes and dislikes? Bourbon and rye across the board.
Kim and Mark?
We align a lot.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Not always. But often.
Majority of the time, yeah.
Okay. That's cool. That's awesome.
And when we don't, he knows I'm right.
Absolutely.
It's a funny question, Judge, because that's kind of how the channel started. I was watching a lot of Whiskey Tube, and Aaron and I were talking about creative projects we could do together.
Yeah.
And Aaron hasn't poured herself a glass of whiskey or pretty much anything, and since we've been together, I always take care of her.
Josh gets all my drinks.
Yeah. So
good man.
Yeah, I take care of her. So I'll always pour myself something, and I'll ask her like, "Hey, I'm having this. Do you want some?" Or I'll just ask her like, "I'm gonna have something. Do you want a mooch?"
Yeah.
And she'll
And
be
I'll
like,
be like 2 mooches, which means I want 2 sips.
2 sips.
Of whatever you
2
have.
mooches.
so I know to pour myself whatever I want plus a little bit more because
Yeah.
she's gonna have 2 sips.
Okay.
And I would present the glass to her, and she would take a sip or two and just have some kind of crazy off the wall. I mean, if you guys watch the channel, you know the type of notes that Aaron throws out. And I was like, I don't see anybody on YouTube saying these types of notes.
Mhm.
I think we could do a channel where, because I know if I'm drinking Brown Foreman, I know all the notes I'm supposed to get.
Yep.
But you don't know what you're supposed to get. And if people could hear some of the things you said, I think it would be amazing.
Well, it'd be relatable because
It'd
I
be
feel
more
like a
relatable.
lot of people don't get the tasting notes, like,
Yeah.
or they don't feel like they get them like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And in
Sure.
all actuality, you just are supposed to get what you get. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In my mind.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You're
Yeah.
right. I mean, everyone has different, senses and so forth. So the nose and the palate, it's going to be completely different from person A to person B. So no,
Mhm.
well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Can I ask
But-
a quick question for some of like the you guys who have a channel, like when you're like going to pour a drink and you have such a selection,
Mhm.
how often do you pour that first drink and you're like, all right, we're gonna drink this, but I want something different?
I feel like Josh probably does that a lot.
You're like, that just did not hit the mark that I was looking for right now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like great whiskey, but like I was looking for something different.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I really, one of my kind of go-tos, my 2 go-tos are ECBP, just
Okay.
because I love Kentucky bourbon, especially well-aged, high-proof Kentucky bourbon. And then the other one is Nashville Barrel Company. We're here in Nashville, Tennessee. So any Nashville Barrel Company, single barrel, I love the variety that those offer me.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times where I'll sit down and pour an ECBP just because I'm like, I don't know what I want. I'll just pour ECBP. And I'll drink it and I'll just be like, that's not it tonight,
Yeah.
I know I love this bottle, but it's just not it for me tonight.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm pretty, we try so much stuff for the channel. And Marcus, I don't know if you could relate to this or not, but we just try so much stuff for the channel that a lot of times when I'm sitting down to drink something, I'm almost always going to a single barrel pick that we've done or a single barrel pick that someone else has done that I really appreciate. And that's what I love the most.
Yeah.
I will
I'm kinda with
say,
you.
Marcus, so I revisited, I had it stashed away in the bar for a little while, but that Woodinville pick,
Oh yeah. The bee's
the bee's
knees.
knees, my goodness.
That was a good one.
I broke that out the other day, and you labeled that correctly because you can definitely, it almost seems like it was like, you get a little bit of like the spice towards the end, but it almost feels like it was like finished in like a honey barrel, but like very subdued. That is a fantastic pick.
No, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I appreciate that. And you kind of going back to your question before we jump into number 4. For me, I'm kind of like Josh. I definitely love my single barrels. I think there's just something about them. But I also love a flight. So for me, on a given night, I love a flight. I always have like a rye. I always have a finished bourbon, and then I always have like 2 different either like standard bourbons, lower proof, and then you always need like a cask strength to call, my nightcap, if you will. Mrs. Judge loves that because she says I get a little tired, so I fall asleep. I don't bother her at the end of the night, so my nightcap always has a cask strength. She's like, just be quiet. She's like, here, take a little bit more. So,
I love
that's what happens.
You might have to start calling those whiskey flights the Anitas, so that you just get a nice little cut and a cousin Anita.
Yeah,
you just get a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Marcus, were you ever a beer guy?
I was years ago, like right outside of college. We used to go to Vermont a lot, so I used to love, obviously Vermont beers and just beers in general, like craft beers in general. But once I switched over to bourbon, it's like it's gone. How about you guys?
Yeah, I used to be a beer guy, and I know flights are huge in the beer world.
I've never been a beer guy.
I don't. I just feel like you don't hear. I don't go places often that have whiskey flights unless I'm in Kentucky. Like if I'm in Kentucky, there are plenty of restaurants that will do a themed flight. Everywhere around here, even though it's a massive bourbon market, it's all just by the glass.
That's awesome. That's cool. That is cool. All right, before we get to number 4, I want to know from Mark and Kim. You guys are in Texas. What, in your opinion, what's the best whiskey brand in Texas? Got to know from true Texans.
So I have 2.
Okay. Hit
So
us.
one is Still Austin Cask Strength Bourbon.
Okay.
Love it. And then the other one is Iron Root. And part of it is
Ooh.
probably because of how much I love Marsha.
Okay. Iron Root. I like that. I haven't had Iron Root in a long time. All right. Very nice. Mark, how about you, sir?
I'd have to agree. Yeah. The Still Austin Cask Strength the picks are very good also. I've had a few of those, and they're great. I think those are probably the best that are closest to what bourbon drinkers like. But yeah, if you want something different, Iron Root does have some good stuff, but it is very different. You can't expect either Kentucky or Tennessee whiskey. You have to, if you're looking for a little bit different, it is very good.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, Iron Root is really good. And it is different, to your point. I do think that it seems like everyone, which, I mean, rightfully so, right? I mean, you got Nancy Fraley up there. Still Austin is like just amazing. So, they are doing some good stuff. And you're right, JG. Definitely straight fire for sure. Definitely fire. That's awesome. All right. Number 4. Let's go back to, or not back to, let's go to number 4. So this is number 5616. All right.
As we get into this, I do want to address James Lay in the chat. He did say if I don't pump gas for Aaron, put gas in Aaron's car, then I'm an amateur. Well,
he makes me coffee every day. I feel like that's okay.
Yeah, I make you coffee every day. I pour all your drinks, and
you forget to open my door for me, and I have to remind you.
Not on date nights, but you never drive me. I drive everywhere.
Well, he drives everywhere because he's a horrible passenger, not because he's chivalrous. Because he's a horrible passenger.
You know what? Now you're getting into technicalities. Say thank you.
Thank you. Please, sir, can I have some more?
So she can sit in the passenger seat and knit and listen to crime dramas.
That's true. I do get to listen to my true crime and knit. So I can't.
Stuff and whiskey shirts together. I love it. Some stuff and whiskey blankets.
Oh man, if only.
I love it. Oh, you two crack me up. Oh,
so
man.
Golf Ball Whisperer said Garrison Brothers is no slouch either. And Kim and Mark, I was wondering if you guys were going to mention that, because I feel like most of their regular offerings are just kind of okay, but their premium releases are really good.
Better. Yeah,
they are good.
Yeah, we've had a lot of different Garrison Brothers releases. Really enjoy it. It is higher priced, but if anyone is in the Austin-ish area and has a chance to go there, it's a fantastic place to visit.
Oh, it is? Okay, that's cool. Good to know. Thank you. All right. I'm going to try to sneak that in between client meetings. Well, maybe after a client meeting.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Like, what is the best of all that you guys have done down there? What's the best Texas whiskey if you're visiting and you're going to carve out some time to go to just one distillery? What are the best tours in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I think it depends on where you are, because Texas is a really big state.
That's true. Yeah.
So in the Austin area, I think Garrison Brothers is phenomenal. Okay. In the Dallas-ish area, Iron Root is great, especially if you want to nerd out about corn.
Okay.
They do that a lot. And then the TX whiskey brand is beautiful. Like, their whole entire place is gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Good to know. All right. TX. Awesome.
It's Firestone Robinson, I think, is the distillery name. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
I don't love their whiskey, but their place is beautiful.
Okay. That's good to know. Never been to a distillery in Texas before, so had plenty of the whiskey, but never actually at the distillery. So I'm going to try to do my best when I'm there in a couple weeks to hit some of these spots. So that's good to know. That's awesome.
Well, if you want to try and hit Iron Root, let me know. I'll hook you up with the owner.
Okay. Oh, will do. I appreciate that. Thank you, Kim. Very nice. All right. Noted.
So on this fourth glass, 56-16, I am getting such a pronounced root beer note on the palate.
Interesting.
I see Mark smiling down there. It almost tastes like, I don't even know what I would call it. Like, it just tastes like root beer. It almost even has that, like a root beer cream soda, old school root beer, like a Virgil's root beer or something. I know Virgil's makes cream soda. I don't know if they make root beer. You guys get my point, though. It's not like A&W root beer. It's more of like a craft root beer.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one, Josh. It almost tastes like, funny enough, like this sounds funny, but like a big brother to the first one we had in many ways. It's almost like that because it has like a ton of like the root beer kind of a note to it. This is different. Wow. Interesting.
I tell you what,
Josh almost chokes.
If it goes down the wrong pipe, it's very spicy.
That's hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
They
That
didn't
drank
really
like 180,000 proof. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Are you okay?
I blacked out. What happened?
Yeah.
Your eyes?
I'll be all right.
They didn't really like
That's the worst
tiptoe
feeling.
from like one barrel to the next though. Like these are all in like their own kind of lane though.
Completely.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, Judge, did you say fourth glass reminded you of the first glass?
Like a big brother of it, like more bold, more it has a lot of the similar notes in my opinion, like the soft pillow notes that kind of Kim mentioned, like the caramel notes, but like, you know, really just, you know, kind of expanded out with a whole bunch of pepper in it as well. Maybe that's where you have like the whole root beer kind of a note to it, because it does have like that also in there. It's like a big brother version of it.
So this is so interesting because to me, glass 4 tastes like a little brother to glass 2.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, interesting.
I was thinking that too.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I like with like the oaks and the brown sugar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It feels like a softer, more approachable presentation of that somewhat similar profile that glass 2 has.
Yeah, I was gonna say almost like inviting. It's kind of
It's different. Is there one that you guys has had so far that you're like, you know what, this one is just totally not for me because it's just so different?
You do? Really?
Erin's always
Like,
she's coming
one-
correct.
Is it bad or is it just not?
No.
Like it
It's
doesn't
not
stand a chance.
bad, but in this flight, it's my least
Okay,
favorite.
I got you.
was it one?
I agree with Aaron.
Yeah, it was one.
It's my least
One.
favorite in this flight.
Yeah.
And it was like a
These are all
no-brainer, my
actually
least
pretty
favorite.
good.
Yeah.
One was okay. That's good
Yeah.
to know.
Well,
Yeah,
after
so-
like trying number 4, like I see what you were saying with like this one is extremely sharp. Like
Mm-hmm.
the fourth
Yeah.
one has like, I mean, it's very it's subdued and it's very nice, kind of even from the nose down and through the palate. Where this one you get like a quick blast.
Yeah, it's
just
like
something real
number
sharp.
1 is a pencil that's really sharp, and then it pokes you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's almost going back to 1. I haven't revisited it until just now, but I would almost call that bright. It's the brightness plus the thinness together combines. Like if you're bright and thin, that comes across as kind of sharp to me.
Yeah.
It's
I would agree.
by far the most rye forward of the bunch.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, number 1 doesn't really stand out. Like these other 3, I like them a lot more. It doesn't really stand out. It's almost in some ways kind of like Kim mentioned. It's almost too soft in a way. It's not. I don't think what most people would really enjoy. So I agree with that one. All right, so I think we eliminated number 1. Sounds like that might be a plan.
Yeah.
Still a great pour.
Yeah.
Like I would be if I went out and just bought some random single barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad at that one at all.
I didn't dislike
No,
it.
no.
I just think comparing it to the other 3 we have in front of us, it was my least
Yeah.
favorite. Pretty easily my least favorite.
Yep.
Now the other 3, though, however,
It's a harder
it's
decision.
a little bit harder. I
Little
do
harder?
have a top 2, but the third one was still pretty good.
Yep, I'm
I
with you
don't
on that one.
We'll say that JG said I'm probably a vintage root beer enthusiast, and I'm going to take that as a compliment, sir.
So sarsaparilla. He said.
Oh yeah, I see that here. A vintage root beer enthusiast. I
That's
love
very
that.
on brand for Josh. So yeah.
That is too funny. That is hilarious.
We got BT in the chat. What's up, man?
BT. Yeah, good group here tonight. Good group. All right, where do we want to go back to? It sounds like I think we're all in agreement that number one is out of the running. This is tough between these last three. There's one I think is slightly better than, well, two actually, than the others, but this is tough. All right, so one, I think we're good, right? We can.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bad choice between these last three. It's all depending on what you prefer personally.
Yeah.
However, I do think one of these has something that's a little special, a little more special to it than the rest.
And what is that and why?
Well, I don't want to give it away yet.
Well, you can't say that and then not say what it is.
I'm just saying there's one that I like. I think I like. We'll see. We'll see if it holds true.
Okay.
Josh doesn't want to sway. I hear you, Josh. All right. Well, why don't we do this? Do we want to go around and rank our top two? Is that a fair thing? Then we can kind of see between these three.
I can get it real quick, but put me last.
Yeah, I have a top two, but I keep going back and forth between which one's first and which one's second.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. Let me go back also. Oh.
So let me hold on.
Kim and Mark, do you guys already kind of know your top two, or is still kind of TBD?
I have a favorite, so I'm trying to figure out the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Kim. I'm right there.
I wonder if we just all have the same favorite and we're just belaboring the point at this point.
Okay. I'm ready to like stand my ground and say an official decision.
Does this hold true to what you said to me?
It
before?
holds true to what I said to you before.
That's what I think too.
I have a favorite.
I have a favorite also. Do we want to just do our favorites?
Yeah.
All right. Let's let Mark and Kim go first.
2.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to say 2 also.
Okay. All right. Nick, are you still kind of TBD there, or it's okay if you are?
Somewhat, but I would have to say 2 also, just because you get the best of both worlds with the oakish and the brown sugar, but then you also can tell that you're also drinking a rye to a degree. So,
okay. All right. That's fair. All right. So we have 3 so far. All right. Josh and Aaron, we're going to go ladies first. So, Aaron.
So very early on, when I said I had a favorite, I wrote it down.
Mm-hmm.
First place, glass number 2.
Okay. That's fair. Uh-oh. I think we have looks like we have the majority here. Josh, are you still TBD? 2. Oh, wow.
Marcus.
Wow. Oh, boy.
2 is special. 2 has, once you drink all of them and then you go back to 2, first off, it does have, to Nick's point, there are things in there, once you taste through them all, and I don't know if I'm getting cross-pollination here, but there are things in glass 2 that are different than a standard bourbon. So I don't want you to feel like if this is the pick that you're interested in, you're just going to get a rye that tastes like a bourbon and that's all you're getting. It definitely does have some rye characteristics in there.
Yeah.
I'm having a tough time putting my finger on them. It's more of a feeling type of thing, but the flavor notes are all bourbon, but with a little bit of a rye experience on the palate. And it is in another league as far as saturation, flavor concentration, density, finish.
Let's let Marcus say what he thinks though before we go into.
Sorry, I'm in love. I'm in love, and I want to talk about it.
He said, "I'm in love." I love that.
Unanimous.
So I will say flat out, it almost kind of deserves the gavel. You guys are right. Number 2 is the best by far.
Unanimous. So I will say 2 was my front runner, but 3 was really close.
It was, Aaron. I'm right there with you. 3 was really close.
Very close. And like as we kept talking about them more and more, this is why I can't take too long. Because as we started talking about them more and more, I was like, ooh, I don't know. 3's pretty good. And then 4's also pretty good. And I had to just go with my initial. I have to just go with my gut. That's what I always tell Josh. And I just went with my initial gut instinct. And I stand by it and I love it.
I agree. Totally agree.
2 is almost like a burr rye.
Yeah, it is.
Like if somebody would have like packaged this and said, "Oh yeah, look, burr rye, 200 something." You know what I mean? Somebody would be like, "Oh, that's fantastic." Like, you could definitely kind of pull the wool over on this one a little bit.
That's a fantastic point, actually. And when you talk about that, like, there's not a lot of 110 proof burr ryes out there. So that's different in and of itself. But then it's like that the bourbon in there is double-digit age.
Yeah.
It's like there's like a 15-year bourbon mixed into the Burr rye with like an 8-year rye.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. What do you guys think of this one? I'll let you guys hit this one first, Josh and Aaron. Then I'll jump in my thoughts.
Our type of picture trying to get off profile, best overall bottle, more on profile.
I actually have an answer for this for me.
Go ahead.
So I don't know what is on profile for any whiskey. Flat out, I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I don't know what I'm supposed to get, so I don't try to think what's on profile because I don't freaking know. I just go with what I like, and then I juxtapose that with what I think the general public would also like. So I tend to like a lot of ryes. I know that's not a general consensus among a lot of whiskey drinkers. So I weigh that against what I like. So there have been picks where I've been like, ooh, I personally would drink this one more, but I also like this one, and I know most people would drink this one, so I'm going to pick this one as my pick. So that's what I do.
And
I hear that. That's
to kind of piggyback on that, just to be clear, like you like whiskey that tastes like dirt sometimes.
Sometimes, and I know not everyone likes to eat dirt. Let's be honest. Who likes to eat dirt?
So,
Just this weirdo.
For a little bit of context here, when anybody that's watching from the Stuff and Whiskey side, when Aaron and Matt and I from ADHD Whiskey picked Swag Jr. about this time last year, Aaron had a meeting and she arrived late to the thing. And so Matt and I had already tasted and made our selections, but had not disclosed that information to each other at the time. And then Aaron said she was on her way, and Matt and I put our cards on the table. We're like, okay, out of these four, which one do you like the best? And it lined up. It was by far the best one. But I said, you know, glass 3 in this pick, this is the best whiskey on the table by far. However, when Aaron gets here, she's going to rifle through these in 5 minutes, and she's going to pick glass 4 because it tastes like dirt. And she she showed up 45 minutes late to the pick.
No, not late.
Not late, just when you got there.
I had a meeting.
Yeah.
It was a Friday.
We
it was
knew
a
that.
work day, y'all. Someone
I hear you.
has to pay the bills.
Work comes first.
And
I
so
respect that.
she showed up. She ran through the pick. She said, I like 4 best, but people are going to hate that. I think glass 3 is the pick. And
So that's kind of how I do it.
Me and Matt looked at each other, and I just started laughing.
I love that.
So
Yeah.
that's your
awesome.
answer.
And
My
she picked
answer
2
would
tonight in like 2 minutes too. So like just send Aaron around and let her just go through 4 barrels and give her like a minute or 2, and then she'll hook you up.
All she needs.
Yeah.
To answer Bourbon Retriever's question, for me, it's a little bit of a personal preference thing. I don't tend to like really oddball off-profile things.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of really dense, concentrated, saturated flavors, preferably sweet, oaky, you know, underpinnings to those saturated flavors. And there's the reason why that's how I feel about barrel picks is because I feel like a lot of the stuff on the shelf, while very good, lacks that concentration of flavor.
Yep.
As much as Old Forester 1920 is a great bottle to go out and grab for $60, it doesn't have that concentration of flavor that just soaks into your palate the way my favorite barrel picks do. And so every time I go into a barrel pick, I'm looking for that special element that just doesn't exist in things you can buy on the shelf. And that's it for me. Judge, what about you?
No, I think it's a combination of what you both just said. I think it's, you know, you definitely want to make sure that, I think to Aaron's point, you're getting the best quality whiskey first and foremost. But then to your point, Josh, you want something that's unique, that doesn't taste like the exact same. Like I think like what we picked does not taste like every single, you know, almost a kind of like a cashing version of what Sagamore has to offer. So this is a very unique bottle, a unique barrel rather, as a whole. And I think it's just great quality whiskey. So it's kind of like a little bit of both as a whole, for sure. It's a great point.
And that's weird, like about like the profiles within the question, like, because this is a good testament to that. Everything was right at 110 proof, probably around the same mash bill with the low and the high rise being mixed within the like, different periods. But they're so different. Like they really are. Like, so it's hard to pick a profile even when everything is like universally like the same as they're trying to like, but the way that it ages and everything else within the bourbon or the rye, I mean, it's it definitely changes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to that point, Nick, not to get right to that point, we've been on barrel picks before or tastings before or tours before and had the opportunity to taste 2 barrels that sit side by side in a rick house that were the exact same distillate, that were distilled at the same time, put in the barrel at the same time, put in the rick house at the same time, aged for the same time, and had the, it's a blessing to be able to have the opportunity to taste those types of things because of the position that we're in. But you taste them, they're right there beside each other, sister barrels, as a lot of people call them. Couldn't be more different.
Yeah,
absolutely. Couldn't be more different. Couldn't be more different than the rye forward, bright, minty of glass 1 and the dark, rich, caramel molassesy of glass 2. 2 barrels sitting right beside each other that should be sister barrels and taste very similar are wildly different.
Yeah.
It's beautiful whiskey magic.
Yeah.
It's an art, not a science. Yeah.
It is.
It really,
It is. And Wes brings up a good point. Wes, I would say you're right. I mean, all this talk, it does make you want to go to the distillery, no matter if it's Sagamore or any other distillery. But the whole going to the distillery is such a cool experience. So, like I was saying earlier, when we first kicked it off, for me, I'm trying to get to, I'll say Texas in a couple of weeks and try to hit some distilleries. I mean, there's nothing better than going to the distillery, doing some tours. And if you can taste, some whiskey directly from the barrel, even better. So if you can get there, Wes, to your point, head out to Sagamore this weekend for sure. All right, so I think we picked a fantastic barrel. Timing-wise, I can't remember, Josh and Aaron, how long did the last one take? I mean, I know, obviously, of course, it ended up going to the wrong location, but how many months ago did we first pick the last one? I can't remember.
It was pretty quick, actually. I think we picked that in, I want to say, Kim and Mark, do you guys remember? Because you were on that pick. Was it early
you guys were with us
October,
also,
late October? I remember Jay West saying that it would be like a 6-week turnaround. He thought it would be by Thanksgiving, and then we didn't hear anything, and we didn't hear anything, and then in January they're like, "Oh, it's at the DC Costco and it's gone."
DC Costco, yeah. So it's like 6. You're right, Josh. You're right. Thank you for that reminder. So it's like 6 to 8 weeks. So
few months,
a couple months,
2-3 months. I think is a safe bet.
Few months. That's Tennessee for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
couple few.
Marcus, I don't know if you want me to do this or not, and we probably should have discussed this beforehand, but I'm going to do it anyways. So, our previous pick got sent to Costco in DC. Marcus has some people in that area, was able to track down a bottle for himself and for us, because it did get almost completely sold out, but we did get a bottle of it right here, Manhattan Vibes. And this tastes like a loaf of bread compared to what we just picked. What we just picked is, I don't know if Sagamore is like, we're really sorry, we're just going to give you some amazing barrels, or what happened. But I feel like what we just picked is head and shoulders above what we had. I'm actually stunned. And I really like our last pick.
Me too.
Wow.
I agree.
What we just picked is crazy good.
How amazing is the bourbon community that through all this, you guys still were able to retrieve a bottle of that?
That's wild.
That's all testament to this gentleman right up here.
Like, both of you guys.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
But you're not wrong. It's so cool. When Josh sent, he was like, "Hey, we got this from Marcus."
And I'm like, why do I have a package from Marcus on our front door?
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me!"
I was like, "It's a bottle-sized package, and it sounds like a bottle's
it's
inside."
It's wild, and it's so cool. And honestly, you guys, the whiskey community, having not really been into whiskey prior to starting our channel, I didn't realize how awesome this community is. And that is like why I'm still like here, I guess, basically, because this community is the best. I mean, he's great, but the community is better.
I mean, start opening the doors a little bit more than date night, right?
Exactly. I mean, forget that you wake up at 5 a.m. and make me coffee. It's fine. Just open my door.
I think
I love that.
Like the different things that you hear, like with like charitable like events and like just like small stuff like that. I mean, it just gives you a better feeling that there are really good people out there that are looking out for people, whether it's the small things or if they can just kind of do something kind. So,
no, absolutely. No, you're right. I mean, whiskey community is such a, I mean, it's honest. I mean, and I think we all go through those days, especially obviously having the channel, you're like, there's some difficult days, but to Aaron's point, I mean, for me, I know what I love about it. It's just the people that I've met. I mean, I met so many people, not only, obviously subscribers and patrons, but like Josh and Aaron. I mean, just honestly, just genuinely good people that, for me, it's like, I love the community, and obviously, I mean, even like for tonight, for example, Mark and Kim was so gracious, like, hey, if you want to go to Iron Root, just let me know. Like, that just doesn't exist in any other typical like society, but the Whiskey Society is just such a good group of people. So very thankful for that, for sure. Indeed.
Yeah. And I appreciate you guys letting me sit in on this as well too. So thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, of course, man. Happy to have you. Kim and Mark, happy to have you as well. Josh and Aaron, the coolest couple in Whiskey Tube world. Kidding me? This is like epic. Well,
we are a couple in the Whiskey Tube world.
I haven't been cool since like 2002.
I don't think I've ever been cool. Also, got to call out
measures, Josh.
I have to call out JG in the chat. He says, "I hope it comes to Costco in Des Moines, West Des Moines."
In West Des Moines.
Don't you put that juju on us, Ricky Bobby? Do not you dare.
No.
Yes, please, no more lost barrels.
We have to get this one.
We have to get this one. We have to get this one for sure. Yeah. No Iowa, please. Oh my gosh. I do love Iowa, but not taking our barrels. Well, hey guys, this has been a blast. Kim and Mark, thank you so much for joining. Kim, I'm actually going to reach out to you. So Josh, if you don't mind just sharing Kim's email address, because I'm going to do my best to try to hit up that distillery, the Iron Root. So I will take you up on that. And thank you, by the way.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Nick, appreciate you, my man. Be seeing you soon. I'll be in Cincinnati coming up in a couple weeks, so we'll be talking
on
offline.
Starlight in February or in a few weeks.
Oh yeah, we got Starlight. Yeah, and then I'll be in Cincinnati 2 weeks after. Right when I come back from Texas, I'll be in Cincinnati. So we'll have to have some more tours in person. Yep.
Yeah.
And Josh and Aaron, I wasn't able to get to Tennessee, unfortunately. Actually last week with my team, but hey, I will get to Nashville as soon as possible so we can all hang out in person and share another pour. So
that'd be great.
Hey, maybe do a national barrel pick.
Yeah. Ooh,
yeah.
Love it. Oh, love it. Awesome. All right.
Any names?
Say it again.
Any names?
Oh, names.
I mean, the other one was the Manhattan. What is it? Manhattan vibes or?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good question. Actually,
that's a good question.
I feel like every time we do a barrel pick, I feel like I should be the one that remembers this. I'm always the one that forgets because I'm just hanging out and having fun with friends. But we do need a name for this.
How about Please Come Home? Just get where you need to get, so like everybody gets it. So or something along those lines.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a more difficult one to name. Sometimes, like, they come to me.
It's so rich and dense.
It's good.
It's so rich and dense. That's a wild 110 proof rye. Yeah. Oh, and now I'm getting like a little bit of root beeriness on the finish too.
Is it a Sagamore thing or is it just
JG said Costco bound?
Ooh.
Just say no to Costco.
Esther says repeat offender. Name it repeat offender.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Just call it mine. You guys, these are great name options. I love it.
This is what we need the chat for.
We do.
Bring it home, guys.
This ain't going to Costco. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, we
Kick Rocks Costco. Or the Costco logo. The Costco logo, but instead of Costco, it says "Oh no."
Yeah. Ooh. Josh using those creative juices. I like that.
Yeah, look at you.
Oh, Homeward Bound. Oh, you just hit every nostalgic root in my body right there with that. That was such a good movie.
That's a tearjerker.
That's a good one. That's a good name too.
Yeah.
Homeward Bound. I like that. Lost and Found.
Oh, that's good too.
That's good. What
was the movie?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
What was the movie with Littlefoot?
Oh, Land Before Time.
Okay, that's not. I was thinking it was Lost.
That's also a movie that made me cry when I watched it when I was 7.
I do like these lost, some type of redemptive arc. I feel like should be. It feels right.
Yeah.
What fits that?
We may have to figure this out offline.
Yeah,
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Did I just say
Raiders of the Lost Barrel?
Did I just say that?
Ooh, I like that. Raiders of the Lost
Pick.
Mm-hmm.
Kim and Mark are smiling. They like that one. All right, we'll workshop this offline.
We'll figure it out offline. At least
Yeah.
we have a fantastic barrel to pick, so which is awesome that we picked, which is great. So, all right, everyone, it's been a blast. Until the next time, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers. Peace.
Yeah, guys. See you
Salute.
guys. Salute.